Good morning, fourth grade. Hopefully, everybody had a great night. We're going to get started now on a new lesson, Chapter 12, Lesson 3, Classifying Triangles. So let's see where we can find our notes at. So you're here in the Google Classroom. Go over here to classwork, scroll down here into Chapter 12, and as you can see, the completed notes are down here, 12-3. So let's take a look at what page we want to open your books to. So if we look here, let's open your books here to page 915. 915 here. Okay, lesson 3, chapter 12. We're going to look at we're going to classify triangles here, okay? Now there's certain ways that we classify our triangles. That's either according to our side lengths or our angle, our measurements. So these things that we're classifying by are known as attributes. So it says you can classify triangles using one or more attribute. An attribute is a characteristic of a figure like side measures and angle measures. So that's how we're going to be looking at some things today. Now there's going to be some important symbols we're going to be using here. So make sure you follow along and add the symbols in as we go. So it says right here, the Hammond family traveled from Columbus, Ohio to Dallas, Texas, then to Atlanta, Georgia, before returning home. The distance of each flight is shown on the map. So as you can see here, here's the flights here that we're dealing with right here. Okay, find the number of congruent sides. Okay, so basically what we are looking at here, it says the lengths of the sides of the triangle are. So we're looking at these distances here. So from Columbus to Dallas, Texas, it's 924 miles. There's our 924 miles there. From Columbus to Atlanta is going to be 573 miles. Now they're saying, hey, what's the distance here from Atlanta to Dallas, Texas? So if we take a look here, this number here is 729 miles. Now, it says, how many sides of the triangle are congruent? Now, remember, when we talk about congruent, we're talking about equals. Do any of these sides equal each other? Are they the same lengths? Well, if we look here, the answer is no, okay? Each one of these lengths are different. So 0 of the sides are congruent, okay? So let's talk about the sides. So how do we classify these triangles according to the sides? Well, there's basically 3 categories that we deal with when we're dealing with the measurements of a triangle. We're going to first deal with the isosceles triangle. Now, in an isosceles triangle, at least 2 sides are congruent. So as you see here, I have this side being 3 inches, and I have this side being 3 inches, and this side is 2 inches. Now, I talked about this in the last lesson. We use these little tick marks, okay? There's a blue tick mark and a blue tick mark. They are both single marks, which shows that this side is congruent to this side, which means they have the same measurement. Now, if you want to put a third one in here, tick mark, we would put a double tick mark and say, hey, the reason why we have 2 is because this side over here is different than our sides over here. So there are 2 here that are congruent and 1 that is different. Now, let's look here at equilateral. Think of the word equal when we're dealing with equilateral triangles. That means that all of these triangles are going to have the same sides, will be exactly the same. Their measurements will be the same. This is 3 inches, put a single tick mark. This is 3 inches, put a single tick mark. This is 3 inches, put a single tick mark, because all sides are congruent, which means they are equal to one another. Very good. Now, finally, we have the scalene. The scalene triangle is basically what we did up top here. As you see, none of the sides are exactly the same length. This side is 2 inches, this side is 3 inches, and this side is 4 inches. None of the sides are congruent. Very good. Okay. So let's continue on down here. It says, so the triangle formed on the map in example 1 is yes, you are right. It is a scalene triangle because all sides are different. Very, very good. Okay, turn to the next page. Here we go. It says, triangles form the sides of the Khafre pyramid in Egypt. I know I mispronounced that. I apologize. Determine the number of acute Obtuse and right angles in the triangle. Okay, so remember, acute means it is less than 90 degrees. Obtuse means it's greater than 90 degrees. And right angles mean it's equal to 90 degrees. So if we do take a look here, how many angles of the triangle are acute? Well, if we look here at these angles here, we're talking these angles in here, these angles right in here. Well, all of these angles here look like they are less than 90 degrees. So there are three acute three acute angles here. Okay, this is acute angle 1, acute angle 2, acute angle 3. Okay, how many of the triangles are obtuse or greater than 90 degrees? There's none here. Okay, remember, a triangle, if it does have an obtuse angle, will only have one obtuse angle in a triangle. Then how many angles of the triangle are right, which means equal 90 degrees? Well, I don't see anything in here that equals 90 degrees, so we would say 0 here. So now, how are we going to classify these triangles according to their angles? Well, we have three basic classifications. We have our acute triangle, which means three angles are acute. Now, I want to remind you of one thing. The three angles in a triangle must add up to be 180 degrees. Okay, so this is an acute triangle, which means every one of these angles here are acute, which means they're less than 90 degrees. But if we were to add up all of these measurements here of these angles, we ought to get 180 degrees right here. Next one is the right triangle. The right triangle has one right angle, okay? The rest of them have to be acute. Why can they not be obtuse? Well, let's think about it. If I have this angle here is 90 degrees, and if I had one obtuse angle here, which let's just say it's 91, 90 plus 91, we're already up to 181. We are above the 180 degrees in a triangle. So that's why if we have one right angle, we must have two acute angles that go along with it. And then finally, we have our obtuse triangle. Our obtuse triangle has one obtuse angle, which means that's that angle right there, it looks like. The other angles here, right here and right here, must be acute because you cannot have two obtuse because 91 plus 91, hey, that's 182. That's already above our 180 degrees. So that does not work there. So let's take a look here. What does this say here? It says, so the triangle in example 2 is an example of, so if we look here, we said that all of these angles here are acute, which would make this triangle here an acute triangle. Very good, guys. Okay, let's look at some guided practice right here. It says, classify the triangle based on its sides. So we're looking at the sides here. So I have a 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, 4 centimeters. So I have two sides that are the same. These two sides are the same. So how many sides of the triangle are congruent? That is 2. We got two sides. Since they are both the same, it only has two sides that are congruent. This is known as an isosceles triangle. Very, very good. Now, let's take a look here. Let me show you something here, something you need to understand here. Okay, just to show you here on this number 1, you may pick this up, you may not, but I want you to take a look here. If these sides here are the same, so this side here is 2 centimeters, this side is 2 centimeters, I want you to understand this angle here and this angle here are congruent. The angles opposite the side. So from the 2 centimeters, the angle that's opposite the side is right here. The angle that's opposite this side is right there. If these measurements are the same, that means these angles are the same. That does not mean these angles are each 2 degrees. No, it just means that these angles here are the same. And it also tells us that this angle here is going to be the largest angle because The side across from that is the largest side of the triangle, just to give you some insight of how these triangles work. Okay, let's look down here. Let's classify this one in number 2. It says classify the triangle based on the angle. So if we take a look here at these angles, well, that looks to be acute. That looks to be acute, and that looks to be acute. Now, they are not all the same size. That's okay because we're classifying it according to the angles. So this triangle is an acute triangle. Okay, guys, turn to the next page. Now, stop this video here and try the next page on your own and see what you can do. Okay, guys, welcome back. Here we go. Let's take a look here. It says, in the independent practice, it says determine the number of congruent sides for each triangle. Then classify the triangle based on its size. Okay, so if we take a look here, in this number 3, I got 2.9 centimeters, 1.3 centimeters, and 2.5 centimeters. So guess what? There are 0 congruent sides to this. So since there's 0 congruent sides, that means this is a scalene triangle. Very good. Okay, let's look over here. Hey, I got 2 centimeters here, 2 centimeters here, 1.5 centimeters here. That means 2 of the sides are congruent. And if 2 of the sides are congruent, this is an isosceles triangle. And just to show you here, hey, this angle here and this angle here are going to be congruent to each other. We're not saying they're 2 degrees. We're just saying they are the same because directly opposite of those angles, the sides opposite those angles are exactly the same. So that means these angles are going to be the same also. And just as an FYI over here, none of these angles are going to be the same because all of these measurements are different. Okay, let's scroll down here a little bit more. They want us to classify each triangle based on its angle. So let's take a look here. If we take a look, sometimes these are harder to look at, but let's look at, hey, looks like acute. Hey, looks like acute to me. Uh-oh, this one here. And you may have to turn your book around just to see if it looks like a obtuse angle or not. So you may want to take that book, rotate it around, and see if it looks like an obtuse, which this one here does. This is an obtuse angle here. So this makes this an obtuse triangle. Very, very good. Okay, let's look here. Let's look here. Oh, this is definitely acute. This is definitely acute. This is definitely acute. Hey, this is an acute triangle. Very good. Okay, let's continue down here. Oh, this symbol right there, you ought to know what this box in the corner means. That, hey, this is a right angle. This, remember, measures 90 degrees right here. This is a 90-degree angle right there. That's a 90-degree angle. Since that's a 90-degree angle, this is a right triangle. Once again over here, hey, this looks to be acute. This looks to be acute. This looks to be acute. So that is an acute triangle. Very, very good. Now they want us to draw. So make sure, hopefully you used a ruler for this to get your lines nice and straight. They want you to draw an equilateral triangle, which means all of these sides have to be exactly the same. Let me give you another hint. If it's an equilateral triangle, it's also called an equiangular triangle. Why is that? Because all of these angles are going to be the same measurement. All of these will be the exact same measurement because all of these sides are exactly the same. Now, here's a question for you. If each of these angles are the same, what's the measure of each angle? Think about that. How many total degrees are in a triangle? 180 degrees. Correct in that. So if there are 3 angles in a triangle and the total degrees is 180 degrees, what is the measurement of each one of those angles going to be in an equilateral triangle? Did you get it? Did you get 60 degrees? If you got 60 degrees, you are a genius. Okay, this is going to be 60 degrees. This is going to be 60 degrees. This is going to be 60 degrees because all of these sides are the same, which means all the angles are going to be the same, which means each angle is going to be 60 degrees. You add up all three of these angles there, you will get 180 degrees. Very, very good, guys. Okay, a right triangle. Make sure you draw your right triangle. Put a box here in the middle. If you haven't, make sure you do that. That shows, hey, this is a right triangle. Very, very good, guys. Okay, turn to the next page. Let's see what we got here. It says here, half of a rectangular sandwich looks like a triangle. Classify it based on the angles. Well, think about this. We know that a rectangle has how many right angles in it? 4. Very good. So that means this angle here is a right angle. Okay, since this is a right angle, this makes this sandwich here a right triangle. Very, very good. It says measure the sides of this sandwich and classify the triangle based on the sides. So hopefully you pulled out your handy dandy ruler and you measured it and you found out, hey, all of these sides are different lengths. Since all of these sides are different lengths, it is a scalene triangle. Very, very good. Okay, let's look down here. Let's draw some conclusions. It says Emma, Gregory, Juan, and Michaela each drew a different triangle. Use the clues below to describe each person's triangle as isosceles, equilateral, or scalene, and also as acute, right, and obtuse. Okay, here we go. Gabe and Juan, or Jose, or whatever his name is, okay, drew a 90-degree angle in their triangles. Okay, so right now we know those two have right angles. So right now they're looking to have a right triangle so far. So we're good to go with that. Gabe's triangle does not have any congruent sides. Okay, so Gabe, right triangle, no congruent sides. What's that going to be? Did you get Gabe as a right? Okay, and also, let's see, Gabe is right. And it should be scalene. I must have forgot the word scalene over here. So make sure you put scalene over here. My bad. Okay. Actually, I'll write that in here. Scalene. It's a right scalene. Let's see if I can get it in here. Very good. Okay. Right scalene. Okay. And one of Emma's triangles is greater than 90. So already we know, since it's greater than 90 degrees, that Emma, it is obtuse. Okay. Each side of Michaela's triangle and two sides of Emma's and Jorge's triangles are 4 centimeters long, which automatically means, hey, they got two measurements that are same. So Emma is isosceles and obtuse. We already know that Gabe's is right and scalene. Jorge, let's look at Jorge. Jorge, he was a 90-degreer. Yes, we know he is right. We also said, hey, he's got two sides that are exactly the same. So he is an isosceles also. And then Michaela, each side of Michaela's triangles and each side of Michaela's triangle and two sides of them are 4 centimeters long. So that means Michaela, all three sides of hers are 4 centimeters long. Since the three sides are 4 centimeters long, it is equilateral and it is going to be acute. Very, very good there. Okay, let's look down here, these last couple here. Okay, last one here. It says, how do I classify triangles using their attributes? Include a sketch of each type of triangle. It says, classify triangles based on the number of congruent sides. There's our sides. And the number in their angle measures to see what their angle measures are. So as you see here, here is an isosceles, which we say isosceles has two sides that are the same. The third side is different. Equilateral, we know that equilateral means all sides are going to be the same. And we also know that what? All the angles are what? 60 degrees. Very good. We've got our scalene. We got all sides are different here. I got 3, I got 2, I got 4. Then we got finally down here, according to the angles, the acute, which means the acute triangle means all the angles are acute. The right triangle, which means one angle is 90 degrees. The other two angles are acute angles. And then finally, we have the obtuse angle, which one angle is obtuse. Looks like this is the obtuse one here. The other two angles here are acute. So hopefully, guys, you understood the material that I went over today. If you did not, rewatch it. And if you're still confused, email me any questions you may have. Other than that, guys, have a great day. Homework, you can start on today if you want to. If you want to wait until tomorrow, that's fine too. But guys, have a great day. Enjoy the weather. Take care.